Thank you for tuning in to The Balancing Fact. I'm Angela Calais. I have been a full-time realtor for the past 16 years. With 3 kids running a real estate brokerage, I work to dispel the myth that you cannot have a work-life balance when working in real estate. That balance looks different for everybody. Today, my guest is Julee Patterson. Julee is a veteran broker and real estate agent who helps fun-loving people upsize their home without upending their life and their budget. Her boutique real estate brokerage services Placer, Sacramento, and Dorado Counties. She's not like a regular realtor. She's a fun realtor, a well-connected agent, more than 20 years of industry experience. Julee and her team know the market better than anyone else in town. Not only does she have stellar working relationships with the area's top agents and contractors, but she also knows the ins and outs of each neighborhood, from the best schools, coffee shops, restaurants, and more. Julee will get to know your vision for your future home and lifestyle and leave no stone unturned in helping you find that hidden gem you're looking for. Whether you're looking for a yard with a pool, a she shed, or an open concept layout with a fabulous kitchen island. She's a wife, mom, and Northern Cali girl who loves Swedish fish, tacos, and sweet 80s jams. Julee believes finding your new home should be a hella fun, not hella stressful. If that sounds like your jam, you might just be a perfect fit for Julee. Julee has a lot of insight into maximizing your social media presence. After listening to what she has to say, be sure to follow her as well. Hi, Julee. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining me today. Where are you joining us from?
I am in Northern California. I have a boutique brokerage in Loomis, California. And we're like northeast of Sacramento.
Okay. How long have you had your own brokerage?
I have had my brokerage since 2008, and I've been in the business a little over 20 years in different capacities.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What are you seeing right now in your market?
We're cooling a tad, kind of a seasonal, typical seasonal. I would say we're more normalizing than anything, which is, I mean, from my perspective, very well welcomed. It's still, I kind of make the analogy that instead of going 150 in the fast lane, we're cruising around 85 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still in a very busy, active market, and it's by no means like, slow by any stretch, but it is not as fast as it has been in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're seeing that across the board. So it's interesting just to talk to people around the country and see if there's anywhere that's not seeing that, but it seems like this is pretty steady around.
For sure.
So I initially had heard you on a podcast that I was listening to, and I was really interested in what you had to say about your social media presence. Yes. So I immediately started following you, and I was really impressed with how consistent and polished your social media posts are. So tell me how did you, I guess, were you motivated to get into social media? Were you always kind of on it personally, or was it, I need to do this for my business, and so this is the direction I'm taking it? Did that happen organically, or was this very intentional?
So that's kind of a long answer for that. So when I've always been a mom. Like most of my life, I've been a mom.
Sure.
And my son in 2017 graduated from high school and left the state for college. He went out of state for school. And my first, I don't want to say responsibility because it's always our responsibility, but my biggest priority, my business, was a definite backseat for my income. Was a secondary income for my entire marriage. And the whole time my son was growing up. I had always done well in real estate, but not like completely kicking butt. I mean, I was a little slightly better than average. Sure. Agent, about 12 to 20 units a year, but was a mom. So my son was an athlete and kind of an exceptional student and everything. And it just required a lot of me and mom life. Mm-hmm. So I spent that whole time. So then when he left, I kind of lost myself, and I didn't know. First of all, I needed to pay for out-of-state college, which is very expensive. And if any of you are listening and have little ones that you think might go to college, save more than you think you need because it's quite expensive to send your children to school. And so when he left, I was like, I need to step it up in my real estate world. And I knew that doing video, particularly being on camera for video, was what was going to take my business to the next level, and what I needed to do to try to generate additional income and to kind of keep myself, find a new place for myself, find a new priority, I suppose, because I was so identified as being a mom that I needed something else to identify with. And so I said I was going to be kick butt. I was going to kick ass in the real estate world. That was my new plan.
All right.
So I did. So then I went and put myself on camera, and I was heavy. So I was 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do some self-care. Like, I saw myself on camera, and not that it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter what you're perfect. Everyone is perfect just as they are. You don't need to do anything to be on social media or to be on video. You don't. You're perfect. But there is that thing, women especially, we tend to have, like, you need to feel comfortable in your own skin, whatever that looks like. And it doesn't matter, maybe your hair's not right, or your teeth aren't right, or your weight isn't right, or whatever it is. And if you can fix it so that you can feel comfortable in your own skin and be able to be your authentic best self, because that's what it takes to be on social media consistently. You have to be comfortable with yourself and be your authentic self, because people can sense when you're not. And so I used to use we have like a water park around here, and I was always so self-conscious to wear a swimsuit. Like when my son was growing up, I didn't want to go to the water park with him and wear a swimsuit, but I would see like really heavy set moms that were out there, and I was so impressed by them. And I was like, there's not 1 ounce of me that was like, oh, that lady is heavy and she's out there, she shouldn't be in a swimsuit at the water park. I thought, wow, I wish I had that self-confidence. Go her. Yep. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with anything that we do. You really just need to do it and be confident in yourself. And for me, that required losing some weight. So I gave on a new journey, and I lost about 60 pounds. And for me, that was able to do enough to be, I still have some weight on me, and I'm okay with it now, but I do feel more comfortable in my own skin. And for me to be on social media consistently, that's what it took. And so now your social media is your billboard these days. It's who you present to the world. It's who you are. And people are looking there, whether you like it or not. And if you're not on social media and you feel like it is not necessary, I think you're really missing out on opportunities, because the truth is almost everyone is on social media, and almost everyone is checking it. Even if they don't have an active account themselves, they're still probably checking out people's service providers and whatnot. They're probably looking them up on social media at some point. So being able to put yourself out there and be who you are and show the world what you would like them to see of yourself is important and valuable.
Did you have a plan in place of the type of content that you wanted to have available? Or was it just, I think this would be a fun thing, and it just kind of comes up? Because I've seen you have dances like with your team on there, and I've seen just very like professional suit type pictures. And how do you determine and what type of content to include?
So when I first started, I was very concerned about my father is a doctor and a lawyer, and kind of gave the poo-poo to whole real estate. Like he always felt like it was a not respectable business.
Okay.
And so I was very concerned about looking and sounding smart. So I do have an economics degree. I do think I'm a fairly smart person. So I was very, very, very cautious in the beginning when I first started on my social media. I wanted it always to sound very professional and polished all the time. That was my intent. It didn't always look that way, but that was what it was in my mind of what I wanted to put out. And it's interesting because that's not really who I am. It didn't really connect with my audience. Like, I was trying to, I talk in slang, I'm goofy, I use song lyrics. Like, that is my true personality. That's who I
Yeah.
am. And so I kind of learned that my audience connected better with me when I didn't try to be somebody that not that I'm not smart, so I didn't mean it like that,
Sure.
but like trying to put off this like super like,
Like portray that. Yeah.
yes, and portray that that's who I was. And so I learned along the way that being yourself authentically is really what you need to do to be able to connect. Because the truth is, if people are liking you, this person that you're portraying yourself to be, that's not your authentic self, they're
Mm-hmm.
probably not going to like you when they meet you in real life.
All right.
So now it is like, yeah, when we get together as a group, we absolutely work hard and we are a professional group of ladies, but we also have a lot of fun together, and we're silly and goofy, and we do dance offs, and we're fun. So
Yeah.
there you can be both. And it's interesting. I kind of say too, if you're not funny, don't try to be funny on
Yeah.
social media. If you're a serious person, you're gonna attract people that like
Yeah.
you for you. And you don't have to be anybody but yourself. And you're going to attract and find people that are drawn to that. And
Mhm.
so I think when you're creating your content, the type of content you should do, first you want to serve before you sell. So provide value to your audience, and try to always, when you post something, look to either entertain, inspire, or educate. And if you're not doing any of those, I mean, so there's some times that it's none of those, let's be honest. But for the most part, try to do those three. And if you're trying to do those three, you're probably going to resonate with someone that will find your content valuable and important.
Yeah. How often do you post?
So I post nearly every day.
Mhm.
So I do it all myself. So people often ask like who writes my content and stuff. So it is I do have some subscription based ones that have like they have some canned content, but
Sure.
I always change it and make it my own, because I don't post. The intent isn't just to post to post. You
Yeah.
post with a plan, with a purpose, and there's a thought behind what is going out. So I
Mhm.
do try to. I have some different pillars that I try to stay with. I have engagement posts that tend to do the best. Those are ones that you're talking about your personal life, or your something that your beliefs and those types of things. That's, for me, those are engagement. That's how I categorize them. Other people will
Mhm.
categorize them differently, but this is what I
Sure.
found for myself. Um, you want social proof, your actual listings, your actual, testimonials, those types of things
Yeah.
of success stories. That's important. And I try not to overdo those. I mean, I do sell a lot of real estate. And if you look on my page, it might look like I only sold 5 houses or something. That's not the case. I just don't want to bombard people all the
Right.
time. Just listed, just sold. That's not really my way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me,
Mhm.
I don't feel the need to do that anymore. And so I don't.
Yeah.
I would rather, if I have a story to tell about those people or about that situation, I'm more
Mhm.
prone to talk about that.
Okay.
Then you have expert advice. So
Mm.
people often think that they don't want to tell what they know as a realtor, that we don't have, that it's common knowledge. And the truth is, it's not. There's a lot of things that we know and that we do on a day-to-day basis that can help your audience that they don't understand. It's not their everyday life, so they don't know. So share your story, share your information with the world. Community stuff, that's important, to talk about other small businesses, supporting other industries, that kind of thing, as well as just what you love about your town and your community. So I try to sprinkle in different types of content as often as I can. Sometimes I get heavy, and I am what I wish it was not so much of. I wish I had more. I wish I had more of a personal life to share that
Oh.
wasn't real estate related. But the truth is, I don't really do anything else. Like, I don't have any kids
Okay.
at home. I don't have, like, I don't know. We've been married 100 years. Live in the same house. I do the same things. Like, I don't have any real hobbies anymore except
Yeah.
real estate. And I truly don't have a whole lot else to talk about than real estate. Um,
Yeah.
I do find in my stories, I will have silly stuff or whatever. And things like I have microwave meals that are like meal prep that I just heat up. And so sometimes I laugh and I like, we'll get on my stories and it's 9 o'clock and I'm like, this is the glamorous life of real estate. I'm eating microwave salmon at my desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so great, right? And interestingly, like that resonates with people. And your stories, like that's real life. And people ask questions about my microwave meals and stuff. And so when you just put your life out there, people will engage with you. So I've had positive. My husband doesn't love it. He wishes I was not on social media as much as I am, but he's starting to embrace it. And so he doesn't necessarily want to be on it. He is sometimes, but he doesn't love it. And
my husband's the same way. Just don't post my picture. I don't want people seeing. Yeah, totally.
He hates when it's his birthday and I say something and he goes to work and people that follow me.
Yeah, that's what I get all the time too. Now people at work can see what you're posting. I don't want them to know everything.
Exactly. But I'm like, you know what? You want to, this pays the bills, buddy. So
yeah.
I don't know. Get over yourself.
Yeah. So do you plan in advance? Do you do like a week ahead of time or a month ahead of time, or is it more sporadic for you?
It's a little of both. So I do have planned out content posts. I use Trello is what I use to, I kind of keep my ideas all organized in Trello in those different pillars. And I will often notice that I have a lot in one category. And so I need to think about content for another category. I have prepared prompts for myself of all types of different content. We do photo shoots. I have a on-staff photographer and videographer that works for us. And so we do content shoots for the team. I think a good image and good visual is really important. And so we do content shoots for the team twice a month. So there's things that we know we need pictures of, or you need a picture with your dog or with whatever it is that you want. I say we have them pre-scheduled. The girls can come if they want. They don't have to come. It's up to them what they want to do. But to me, I think it's important. And so I have a huge bank of photos to choose from. I've got, 1,500 pictures or something in there of all kinds of stupid stuff. I also used to find that I wanted to be very, professional in my images. And what works best is when you're like, you get more engagement when you're relatable. And so the silly images and the silly, not so great. It doesn't mean that you can't have a silly image that's well photographed with good lighting and a good background and you're being a goofball. So I think it's important to have attractive photography even in the goofy stuff. And so if you can do that, even if it's your own setting up lighting to make it look good, if you're going to put the work in for content and you have a crappy picture, like your visual needs to look good too. You know what I mean? And so typically I will go through, I'll know what I want to talk about for that week. I tend to be an oversharer. That's my way. And so I'm usually never at loss for words. So I don't often have a problem. I have a problem sometimes, like I get cut off on Instagram because I'm too wordy.
Too long.
Yeah, I have that problem. So, and I'm sure people don't read them. I understand that. Like I know it's TLDR, right? Too long, didn't read. And so I know that I should probably work on tightening up my words. It's hard to do for me sometimes, but I often will have a caption that I know I need a photo for. So I will, when the photo shoot comes up, I will have already written the caption and be ready to go. And then know that I need that particular, image to be able to finish that post. And so then once a week, I typically will go through, on Sundays is usually the day that I do it. And I pull from my Trello board and I plan it in Creator Studio and I will schedule it out in Creator Studio so that I do have something posted, if not every day, nearly every day. And then stories are always off the cuff, during the daytime, whatever is happening for me during the day. So there is some immediate ones and they're mostly planned ones. So you can go in, if you decide you wanted to post something that came up that day, like the Zillow situation, right? That came out. Obviously, I'm going to do something about the Zillow situation. Right. So I'm now going to bounce a content that I had for that day and replace it with something else. Just figure something else out. So I think that there's a good mix. I'm not able to plan out longer than about a week in advance because I really don't know what is going to happen and what I'm going to be thinking next week. So for me, a week has been the sweet spot. I probably spend about 5 hours a week with content,
Okay.
sometimes more. And that doesn't include photo shoots. So some people will hear that. There's weeks I spend 10 hours a week on content, and
Wow.
people will be like, oh, that's too much. But for me, that's the biggest pillar of my business. And
Well,
I
that's what I was going to ask. It must be a priority in your marketing strategy. So you have to make time for that. Why do you feel that you've seen a direct response based on social media, or is it's part of a larger marketing and branding plan?
both. So I
Okay.
definitely have. The nice thing about social media is you often, once you start posting regularly and putting out content, people that you think would have called you before might not have. So I don't know.
Mm,
My son's wrestling coach called, and he'd been out of wrestling for a while, right? He hadn't been in
mhm.
on the team. He's off in college, and so his coach from high school calls us, and they need to buy a second home. And so it's, I mean, did he know me and know I did real estate? Well, of course, but he probably would have forgot that if I wasn't
Sure.
active on social media. And there, let's be real, everybody knows 15 real estate agents, right? Like,
Yeah.
so being active, if you could probably sit back and think, well, he already knew me. It wasn't my social media that attracted me or prompted them to call me. Absolutely. People from high school that I haven't talked to in 20 years, would they know I did real estate? I mean, I saw them at the store a couple times, we
Mhm.
talked briefly, but they see me on social regularly. So when it
Yeah.
comes up, they call me.
You're
So
top of mind.
yes, and
Yep.
so if you're not active on social media, you you probably miss out on substantial opportunities just because people forget that that's what
Yeah.
you do. And so you're able to stay top of mind with your community that you already have built, that without having to build a new community. You could
Yeah.
have 300 followers that you stay with, and if you're staying top of mind even with them, you're going to do more business than if you didn't. So
Yeah.
I think that it's important. We do other stuff as well. It is part of a plan. It's not the only plan and the only thing that we do. I happen to enjoy it, so it's one that I like doing, and
Yeah.
so I definitely focus on it. And what's that saying? Energy go or attention. Energy goes where attention flows, or attention goes where energy flows. Something like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
I
So,
like that.
and that's the truth. So I
Mhm.
do definitely get business from current clients that were my friend or a past client or something that is reminded, as well as new people that reach out that have found me from social media.
Yeah. Well, and so the obvious thing too about social media is it's free, right? So do you ever take advantage of ads or boosting posts? Do you do anything like that?
We
And
don't
that's
really,
so inexpensive too.
right. We don't really boost, but we run ads through Ads Manager. We have
Okay.
definitely funnel set up about leading people down on a journey from a wider net down to the bottom of give us their information, that then we put
Sure.
them on a pretty substantial nurture sequence that goes from there. So I mean, we definitely have there. It's a pretty well thought out plan with a lot of
Yeah.
effort that goes into it. I think the people think that it doesn't seem like there's a lot of effort perhaps that goes into it, that it's very
Mhm.
off the cuff and easy to do, but there is a lot of
Well, that means
things
you did it
involved.
good.
Let's
Yeah,
hope.
you did it well. Right. So when you've done ads in the past, is there any type of engagement that you think had a better return than something else?
Typically home stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
like if it is about a particular home, because that's what they're looking for. So the
Mhm.
ads with homes that are a particular type of house, a single story at, like home list for single story homes, or home list for 3-car garages, or home list for something specific where you can get information. They're looking for something specific from you, and then you give something in return.
Yeah.
Those tend to perform better. And keep in mind, the conversion rate on those is still quite low. I mean, there's a lot of just willy nilly,
Sure.
give you fake. There's a lot of fake information, and you have to not. You get a lot of unsubscribes with people because they didn't really plan on some. They didn't really. I think it's not great. I guess it's good in some ways and bad in other ways, that people often don't really realize they signed up. They clicked the link,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, they're on. It says on there, very, it's like
Yeah.
Facebook doesn't. And so they're not really understanding that they signed up for it. So you get a lot of unsubscribes, and I think it hurt my feelings at first. Like for some reason you're like, oh,
Sure.
well, they don't like me, but
Yeah.
they are not your people. Let them go. Cut
Yeah.
them loose. Like you're that much closer to a yes when you get rid of the people that are not
Right.
interested. So
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, so social media is definitely, a priority in your marketing. What would you say would be the second thing in your marketing or advertising that you would spend time on during the week?
I'm really a relationship-based business person. So I call my clients, I follow up with them. And I know that sounds very like elementary, but there's a lot of people that don't spend the time. I
Oh
take
yeah.
them to lunch on their birthdays. I very much engage with people. And so
Okay.
I am a people person. I like that. So that to me is worthy of my time. Um, we I'm a believer in a beautifully designed guide, like a freebie type guide. So I spend a lot of time on that. So everything that we usually have some sort of guide that can be downloaded. Most of the time,
Mhm.
people don't read them, frankly. I mean, I know they don't, but the fact that you have them, you're better off. You, if a client is interested in buying a house with you and they want to know seller survival boot camp or something,
Yeah.
and the fact that you've put that together and it's all set up and ready to go and has a beautiful guide that's prepared, that's well designed and
Mhm.
craftily written, and like everything in it is on point, right?
Mhm.
Even if they don't read it, you're putting an impression that you are better than average. So
Yeah.
whatever everybody else is doing, I'm trying to do that a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so whatever that looks like. So during the week, there's definitely time going into doing guides and creating guides for the girls and for myself. And um, there's all, I mean, I don't know, during the week, I
Mhm.
feel like I work way too much. So there's a lot of things that go into an average week, but that is definitely something that is important to me.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a good transition. You mentioned you think you probably work too much.
I do.
So but you've been in the business a long time. So your son was growing up as you were growing in the business too.
Yes.
So you definitely have more time now to devote to real estate. How did you manage to do that as you were in the business with a younger child at home?
It was my business, and I was pretty frank with my clients and stuff. And luckily, clients that I had at that time, they understood that and they were
Yeah.
okay with it, because probably most of my clients, it was, it's odd when I think about it, as you just asked me that. Some of my like most, I don't want to say most valuable client, but the clients that did the most transactions with me over those years weren't moms. Like I had a older gentleman investor that really respected that sometimes I brought my son with me, and
Sure.
I don't love that. I didn't love that then. I don't love it
Mhm.
now, but the truth is that's your life, and sometimes
Right.
that is required of you. And he was so respectful of that and like understanding, and never once and he's did probably 40 transactions with me during those years.
Mhm.
And so he would always say your personal and home life comes first. And I think you'll always find people, if that's your life right now, you're going to find people that respect that, because they either want that for themselves, or they need the grace of others in their own
Yeah.
life. So I think that you can somehow do whatever you need to do. And in those seasons, I truly believe in those seasons, you're probably not going to have a banging body right then, because you don't have the
Mhm.
time to go working out all the time, and be a good agent, and be a mom that's present and there all the time, and be the best wife with a super clean house that's
Right.
beautifully decorated and all of that stuff. You're not. And so
Mhm.
you just have to understand some of that stuff's going to have to go. So if you're going to be a busy working mom, you need to outsource some things. Let your
Yeah.
house be a mess. Don't care that much that your house isn't perfectly perfect, or that you didn't cook meals, that you had to, get takeout or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
know that that's okay. And
Yeah.
there's a season for that. There's going to be another time that you're going to do all those things differently. And there's a time for that too. When you
Mhm.
only get the time when your babies are little, it's the time is so short. So
Yeah.
love them up, enjoy all your minutes with your kids. If you got to work, you got to work too. So somehow squeeze that in and do a good job doing that. But your babies are what matter. I mean, I truly believe that your babies are what matter most.
Yeah. So, looking back, and I'll tell you mine, you tell me yours. Looking back, is there anything that you would change or do differently, knowing what you know now, just learning more in regards to, working with your young son? Mine, for me, I would have been more, I think, honest from the get-go with clients. So I was very similar in, okay, I need to look a certain way, act a certain way. They can't hear kids in the background. I almost like portraying as if I didn't have an actual life.
Right.
I would, if I had plans to go to my son's baseball game, I would say I had an appointment, which I think is kind of disingenuous. I think that it's okay. So looking back, I would probably just say, hey, I'm going to my kid's baseball game, or I have a family obligation, and you don't owe the explanation of where you're spending your time as long as you're doing your job the best that you possibly can. So I would have been more honest up front.
100%.
Yeah.
My son busted me on that. So we like honesty is a big thing in my family, right? Like you be honest with your parents, with like honestly with everybody. And I truly believe that. And then I had a client call, and I had been with my son. I had taken him shopping or something. It was like, I don't know, he needed something shopping wise. So we were out shopping that day, and I missed a phone call, and it was an important phone call. And I don't know, I missed it. It happens, you know? And so I get in the car, and I'm apologizing. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. My appointment had gone long, and I missed your call. I apologize. And I hung up, and my son's like, you're a liar. And I was like, oh, it's not a lie. It's not a lie. I had to say this for work. He's like, no, that's a lie. And he's like, you would be mad if I did that. And I was like, you're right. My goodness, that is true, So then I learned to either say, I wasn't available. I'm so sorry I wasn't available when you called me. And you don't, I found, and it's probably, my son's 22 years old. So I think the times have changed a little bit, and people right now, especially after COVID, really, people are not as judgy about spending time with your family. Like people seem to be a little bit more understanding is my experience right now.
I definitely think you're right about that. And I hadn't thought of it that way too, because maybe it was a different expectation that people had, 15 years ago or 16 years ago when I started. My oldest is almost 15. I had to do the math. So I didn't have any kids when I started, and then I did, and I kind of felt like I had to maintain that impression or whatever it is. But you're right. I think people have become more accepting of that, and I don't know if it's some type of cultural shift or why that is, but definitely COVID kind of took everything like immediately, just fast forwarded to, we get it. Let's see. Let's see what your life is actually like. Yeah.
I don't know about you at that time, and I mean, it wasn't that much different than mine. Is if I would have said I'm going to shopping with my son, that wouldn't have been well received. Like, people would be upset with me, and that's what you're trying to avoid, right?
Yeah. Why are you shopping during the day? You should be sitting at a desk working 100%. On my property. Yeah.
Right. And so now I think they don't have that. And so, but I think if you say, like I said, if you just say, I'm sorry, it was unavailable. Right. That is not a lie.
And you don't owe an explanation.
You don't owe an explanation to people. And so that was something that I think I would probably do differently as well. Like I definitely think that. And another one is I would take better care of myself. I thought, and someone had said, I would wear hoodies and Birkenstocks and jeans, like, again, because I was overweight and I didn't care. I was kind of at the I don't care what I look like phase of my life. And not that there's anything wrong with that. There's not. But looking back, in the moment, I would say, your agent can wear whatever they want. Whatever I'm most comfortable in is going to be what's going to do the, close the deal. And then I had a client that said, they're like, oh, a big hitter just showed our house. They're spying, watching someone show their house. And
Mm.
so they're in their car. They're like, oh yeah, a real, awesome agent just is coming in with their client. And I was like, oh, who is it? And he's like, I don't know. And I go, well, how do you know they're a real awesome agent? He's like, oh, she's in like a pantsuit and she's got heels
Oh,
on.
yeah.
And I a little bit was like, oh, is that your perception that she's more successful because that's what she's dressed like, And he's like, well, yeah. And
Oh,
I kind of took a little bit of a step back and I was like, oh, I mean, okay, and because I was firmly felt, and I hear agents all the time right now say, they can wear flip-flops and shorts and that's fine. And their clients are more comfortable when they're wearing
mm-hmm.
flip-flops and shorts. And I think that's probably a little bit in your own head to some extent that
Sure.
I think that's a lie some people tell themselves, truly.
Yeah.
Because not that you have to wear a pantsuit and heels. You don't.
Right.
But you really shouldn't be at a professional setting in a hair in a bun that hasn't been washed and a hoodie and Birkenstocks. Like, it doesn't show respect to the situation or to your clients. And so you don't have to be to the nines by any means, but you really should look polished. You know what I mean? You need to look presentable.
So I have like my own rules about that. So I would never go to a listing appointment looking anything less than professional, right?
Yes.
If I'm working with a buyer and I just got done with a run and then I fed my dog and then I was working outside because I didn't have any appointments that day and I had my hands in the mud and somebody calls and says, can you show me this house?
Yes.
And I know that I actually have to get in the shower in like 45 minutes. Yes, I'll show it to you right now. But you're going to take me as I am. Like, just be prepared. I'm coming dirty and sweaty and gross, and they're grateful. They're thankful that, I drop my gardening and run to the showing. So I feel like there's definitely a lot more leniency when it comes to buyers because we do drop everything sometimes. Or, one of my agents said something the other day. She says, I don't have any appointments Saturday or Sunday. I have the whole weekend. I said, you just did yourself in. And she's like, oh, sure enough, I ended up with, 3 showings on Sunday. And you're grateful for the showings, but you just kind of, we go with the flow. And sometimes you just have to adapt and they have to just understand, I think.
I think too, especially if you've already met the buyer, if the buyer's already seen you and you've been professional in the past, you have a lot more, like I would make jokes like, first day in heels on the first showing, second showing, we're in jeans and heels. Next thing you know, we're showing up in Birkenstocks and hoodies. So I think that is a normal thing.
Yeah.
They're more comfortable with you as well.
For sure.
You've already showed them that they matter to you enough to be professional for out the gate.
And that's really what they want. They want you to show up. They want you to be there. They want you to be adaptable. Yeah, that's really what matters.
And I'll say also too, my hair's in a mom bun and I am like fully like not prepared. They're like, no, please come. They that's what matters most. But I think for a listing and stuff, I just don't think that that's okay. Like, I don't think that is.
I can't even imagine coming to a listing appointment with anything less than, when it's hot out, I won't wear a blazer. Yeah. I won't.
For real. And it's interesting too. I'll be at like the store today I just have a blazer on. I don't have anything super professional on. I'm in jeans and booties and a blazer.
Sure.
But it's funny when you go to the store, if people run into you, you look like you're professional. You look like you're ready to work today, which makes it look like you are working. And so when people see you, they have a little bit different, what they imagine of you. You sort of look like you're set up for success. You're dressed for success. You're ready to roll. If they see you on Tuesday at the Target and you're a hot mess, not that you can't be, and I don't mean this at all like that. You can't be living your life like that. But if you're going out in the world and you're going to see people, I don't know. Now I'm very conscious of the fact that I want to be, look like I'm ready to work.
Yeah.
Most of the time during the week. There's a time and place for everything, and I'm certainly not always fixed up and ready to go. But I do like that if I get a call to be on a podcast or something late last minute, I'm prepared and ready to go, and I'm looking for
Yeah.
the most part, most of the time, professional. And so I don't know. I think I didn't put any emphasis on that when my son was young, and I thought it didn't matter. And I was, like I said, didn't care about myself. And so now maybe I put too much emphasis on it. I don't know. I mean, I think like I said before, there's seasons for everything, and you kind of
We live and learn. And
Yeah.
we go through phases. There was 2 years ago, I went out and I bought all new slacks and blouses, and I was all about dressing up every day.
Yep.
And now this is I've just got like a little Lulu sweater thing on, and that's my dress up. It's not a t-shirt and shorts. It's,
Right. It still
putting
looks
it together.
You still look put together. That's what matters, is looking put together.
Yeah. And like I said, it kind of goes through phases. And that's fine.
It is
fine.
And there's those pants that look like slacks but kind of feel like yoga pants, and those are a win. I mean,
that is phenomenal. That is a great invention.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm so glad that you agreed to come and talk with me today. So I wish you a great rest of the year and continued success. And follow you. Where can people find you?
So thank you so much for having me. This was fun. I love the idea about helping agents out there finding life balance. I hope to find some more of it myself. So this is a great platform.
You'll have to listen.
Absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is @Julee Patterson. My first name is spelled weird. It's Julee Patterson. And we're on Facebook too. So
awesome.
Love to connect with other agents and other people around the country.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. If you have found value in these episodes, please be sure to share and subscribe. I have so much more in store with guests that I can't wait to learn from.